Hey guys, welcome back. It's Alex here with Cyber Echo, and I wanted to make a video for you guys because, as some of you can tell, and some have messaged me and contacted me in various ways, I've noticed that I've been gone for a little while. Lots and lots and lots of changes to talk about. I'm excited to go over some of it with you guys right now in this current video, and there's going to be a lot of upcoming videos. Briefly to talk about it as a whole, I am now solo, and that is amazing. Love my old teammate. He was a great guy, but nothing beats really just having a truck by yourself and doing your own thing, listening to music what you want, as loud as you want, not really caring who's in the back. Oh, sleeping is amazing as solo because, well, sometimes sleeping while someone else is driving can prove a bit challenging. So, without further ado, I am going to make a channel update video, because there's a lot of changes that I'm excited for coming down the pipeline. It's just too much to talk about in one video. So, without further ado, let's talk about the topic that I have chosen for my first returning video. Should I go dedicated or stay OTR? And I want to talk about the positives. One of the things to this update on the channel that I'll be talking about is I'm not scripted, but I actually jotted down things instead of just rolling the camera to make it a little bit more fluid and make it so that I don't repeat things and drone. So let's talk about dedicated and OTR for a little bit. First of all, to give new people history, I started off with I started off with my training at Swift, then applied to Night. Night didn't work out because of a medical issue that I had, but then they said that it does now, and I applied with CR England at the same time. CR England took me. I know the stigma, I know all the terrible things that people say about CR England. I am of a different mindset. Yes, it has its flaws, but if you are getting into trucking, to me, I don't have any regrets. I will make a video more about CR England, why I actually ultimately did choose them over anybody else, and why, and all that stuff. But I yet again deviate. So I started off in my mentorship program, did like 250 hours, then got upgraded, and I went to team, and then I went from team to another teammate, to soloing for a little bit, only a couple of weeks, but I wouldn't consider that truly soloing. And then I got switched on to a dedicated route, which is where this video is coming from. And when I went dedicated, I heard so much debate on, actually it wasn't really a debate, grand slam. Everybody was saying dedicated's the way to go, dedicated's the way to go. So I went dedicated, and I don't regret it, but there are some definite issues that I would like to talk about in this video. So, well, the video is entitled, Should I Go Dedicated or OTR? It's really more about my experience, what I thought was going to happen, and how I feel about it, and what I would do if I could do it all over again. So, I've I've never been one to tell somebody you should do this or you should do that. It really just depends on what's going on in your life, your own personal situation, and whether you're going to like it. I'm just going to go over what I find to be the positives, the negatives, and also to what I would consider the small pluses that might be a benefit to some people. So let's talk about it in categories. So the first category that I want to talk about is money. Okay? Dedicated and OTR are very different in the way how they pay out. So a lot of people, when they're applying or they're looking at the positions, when you look at the averages, dedicated is going to usually look better, but there's something that you need to know, and that is it's usually not a fixed amount that you're going to be making, but it's pretty close. You're going to get consistent paychecks, and that's the part that I think is lost upon a lot of people on why dedicated is a good choice or is not, depending on your living situation. If you are like me and you have a family, or you have ties to home for any reason, dedicated can be nice because you know roughly what your paycheck is going to be every week. It's not really a guess. Sometimes it may be a little bit better because you were able to, work in an extra stop and, so let's say it's pretty consistent, plus or minus $100. And I will say that I am happy with the consistency. There is about 6 pay tiers ahead of me, so when I give you my amount of how much I'm making each week, keep in mind I have less than a year's experience, so I'm kind of in the middle of the road when it comes to pay. Drivers who come in on dedicated, they make a lot more than I do, and the ones who are hired off the street make considerably less than I do. I make, after taxes and all that good stuff, roughly I'm taking home about $850 a week. Now again, I'm new, that's without any bonuses or, extra knickknacks and goodies and stuff like that. So, again, for some, that's going to be low, and for some, that's going to be high. Just trying to know, again, I'm in the middle. My trainers have discussed pay with me. Senior people who've been here have discussed pay with me. So I've seen that it almost, I don't want to say it doubles that, but on a bad week, I've seen some senior people making $1,400. So. And keep in mind, that's week, and that's after tax. So, that's pretty good. And the new people, I've seen them make about $400, $500, $600 a week. So, it really just varies where you are. So, that's dedicated. So, let's talk about OTR and why OTR might be a better choice for someone. For someone who doesn't have the ties to home, and they're living over the road, and there's plenty of us doing that. I know I've done it. For quite some time. If we don't get a huge paycheck every week, it's not really a big deal because our obligations to set mortgage or rent, whatever, is low because we live in a truck. So we can take that hit where maybe one week we don't get a very special load. Or we don't get high mileage, and maybe that week, we only clear $500-$600. But the following week, we get really good loads, and dispatch is on top of it. We're on our A game. At the 3-month mark, I was bringing home I was netting 1,700, bringing home around 14 in Arizona taxes, all that kind of stuff. I believe I set myself up for about 15% tax bracket. Sounds about right. Not saying that's what you should do, by the way. That's just where I was doing. Disclaimer there. So, was I consistently making that kind of money? Absolutely not. I would be lying to you. I would say out of the 3 months working OTR, maybe I got that kind of paycheck 3-4 times. Other than that, I was bringing like 600, 700, and sometimes 800. 700 was really where my average would have been. So, but for that, I also always worked my 70-hour clock, always had on-time delivery. I am still sitting at 100% on-time delivery. I have pulled miracles out my butt for that. But you do that, you get the loads, you don't argue, and you just keep going, you're going to get those higher paychecks. So, that is really what you have to weigh, is steady better than sporadic in terms of pay. To me, yes. Again, that's something you'd have to choose. So now let's talk about hours. This one is a little bit of a sensitive subject for me because I kind of came to dedicated with the understanding that I would be home a bit more than I am, and I'm not, but that's also okay. And I'm going to explain something that if you've not worked dedicated line, you may or may not have thought of this. I did not. Okay, so dedicated, you have your day cab drivers and you have your condo drivers. Those of you who don't know the difference, a condo driver is the guy who drives a regular size semi-truck with a sleeper in the back, yada yada yada. Day cab people, those are those shorter semis that just have two doors. Two doors and like a bench, or whatever. They don't have a sleeper. That's where I'm getting at. So day cab people, they always go home, but they also only stay, in my case, central to Phoenix, or wherever they can get to and from, and there is no real risk of them staying out unless something significant happens where they need to be rescued. But that never happens. Now, a condo driver like me, I see pretty much. I've gone Texas, obviously Arizona, New Mexico. Haven't been to California yet, and I've been to Nevada a few times. Those are those trips where you make it up there and you sort of make it home, but you're not quite. You don't have enough hours and all that kind of stuff, so you're going to be sleeping in the truck for at least one night. That's not really a problem to me because I like sleeping in my truck. I've made my truck comfortable, and I don't have an issue for that. Where it was a surprise to me, though, is to learn that we work 6 days a week. And the only reason why we don't work 7 is because you need a 37-hour or a 34-hour reset somewhere. So you get a set day off, like mine, for instance, is Sunday. Not bad, but again, the way how it was sort of pitched to me was you get 2 days off and you get to essentially write your own schedule. Well, I knew the writing your own schedule thing was a maybe and not possibly your own schedule. Like, they might give you gaps and say, okay, we need you between this time, so these days you can take off, because at the end of the day, they do need to plan, and it doesn't work for you